Hello everyone, this is Shatrupa and today we are going to discuss the entire technical pattern of Accenture. So we are going to see the technical MCQs which are going to consist of basically pseudocodes, cloud computing, MS Office, whatever question you can have from MS Excel and all that sort, networking and cybersecurity. Apart from that, we'll be looking into the coding section as well, where we'll encounter the Python codes, a few SQL queries, and few website building. Okay, so let's get started without wasting much time, right? So I'll talk about the pattern first. So I'm going to just focus on your technical MCQs that you see over here. So first we are going to see few pseudocodes. We'll see a question related to MS Office, cloud computing. Uh, it's not computer, it is cloud computing, cyber security, and networks. Okay, and in coding assessment, definitely we are going to code in Python and Java. You can definitely use .NET, C++, C Sharp. Okay, whatever you prefer your language to be, you can use that. But we are going to for today we'll be focusing on two languages, Java and Python. All right. Then we'll definitely see a question related to SQL, how you can get those questions, and we'll see few application designs using HTML, CSS, React JS, or Vue.js, whatever you think you're comfortable in, okay, or whatever the question will demand us to do. All right. So without wasting much time, we'll get started with the technical assessment, that is the MCQ. All right. But if you want, you can definitely pause the video, take your time. Now, understand that you have 45 questions for 45 minutes, that roughly you get 1 minute per question. Okay. But I would ask that you spend more time on pseudocode than the others. Others will mostly be theoretical, so do not take 1 minute to think about it. You can pretty much use the answer options that are given and choose the correct one, right? So we'll start with the first question, but don't forget to pause if you want to solve it yourself. All right, there we go. So it says that you're given a function mystery x, okay, and there is a condition that has been given to you, correct? Now it says that what is the output if the value of mystery is 5. Okay, so you take the input as 5, correct? So you're passing 5 over here. Now is 5 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. So you're going to skip this if part. You're going to do this. Now what does this return say? It says that if you're in this else part, then you have to do 5 times you're calling mystery of what is x, it is 5. 5 minus 2 will be 3, right? Now again, so you see, what is this basically? This is nothing but recursion, right? This is a recursion code. Now, what will happen to this m of 3? Now, is 3 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. So it's again going to execute this else part. So what will this do? This will basically be 3 times what is m of 3 minus 2? It is 1, right? So what are you passing in here? 1. So is 1 less than equal to 1? Yes, this is true. So it's going to return 1, right? So this will return 1. So now this will be returned over here. So here what will you evaluate it to be? 3 times 1, that is equal to 3. Going to return the same value over here. So it is going to be 5 times 3, that is equal to 15. Okay. So your correct answer is in option number A, that is 15. I hope you have understood this question. It wasn't that difficult, pretty simple and straightforward. Okay. Moving to the next one. It says you are given as n. Okay, this is a pseudocode, complete pseudocode, saying basically you are setting the value of n to be 1 2 3 4 5, and you have taken another variable sum which is set to 0. Now while n is greater than 0, you have to do this entire thing. Okay, so now 1 2 3 4 5, this is definitely greater than 0, right? So what is your d going to store? Your d is basically storing n mod 10. Now what is this mod? Mod will basically give you the remainder, right? The remainder. And when you do it by 10, it is always going to give you the unit digit. Okay, so if I do this, okay, and I divide this by 10, my remainder will be 5. Why? Because it should be 1. This is divisible by 10, correct? What will be my remainder? It will be 5. So every time this is going to store unit digit. Okay, so your d will be equal to 5 for now. Okay, now if your d mod of 2 is equal to 0, then what am I checking? I'm checking that if it is even or not, correct? Mod 2 means always you're going to check for even or odd. So 5 mod 2 will not be 0, it will be 1, correct? So you are not doing this what will happen? You will go back. Now, what is your n? Your n is now 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what will be your d? Your d will be 4. D mod 2 will be equal to 0. This will be true. So, what will you do? You will do this. So, your sum will be equal to, initially the sum is 0. So, it will be 0 plus, what is the value of your d? What is d right now? It is 4. So, it will be 4. Okay. Now, it will again go back. Okay, it will again go back. Okay, I'm not doing this n, that I didn't say this over here, so that is how your n is basically 1 2 3 4. Okay, because you divided it by 10. Now next, once you divide this by 10, what will be your n? Your n will be 1 2 and 3. Now your d will be 3, so d mod 2 will not be equal to 0. This will not be satisfied. So again, your sum will stay the same. What are you doing with your n? Your n is now just 1 and 2, like that's 12. So your d is 2. So 2 mod of 2 is equal to 0. This is true. So what will happen to your sum? Your sum is sum plus d. What is your sum? It is 4 plus what is your d? Your d is 2. So that is equal to 6. Correct? So again, further, what will be your n? Your n is now just 1. So d is also 1. So if you do 1 mod 2, it's not equal to 0. That is not going to be true. So what will happen? You're going to further not proceed, and finally your n will, there is no n left, so you're going to stop working it here. Okay, so one which you can find your output is 6, you can tick off a. What is the other thing? Once solve for d of 5, right? For d of 5, here I realize that okay, I'm just checking if d is an even number, only then I'm going to calculate the sum. So what am I going to do? If the given number 1 2 3 4 and 5, where are the even numbers? At 2 and 4. And how is my sum being calculated? It is being calculated as sum plus d, right? So sum is initially 0. So if I add 1, that will be 4. Now, this won't execute, this won't execute, this won't execute. So my sum is 4. Now my next sum should be equal to 4. I already did this, so it should be plus 2. That is 6. So either way, either you apply the shortcut or you do it the long way. That is completely up to you. But keep in mind, time management is a thing. So your answer is here in option number A. That is 6. That's your output. Okay. So moving on to the next question. So this is a very simple question. If you can catch it, you can. If you can't, you're going to make a mistake. So take a pause if you want to and try solving this, but we'll go ahead with the explanation. So what does it say? That it says that okay, my there's a variable str which has abcd and a result that is an empty set basically, or an empty string. Now for I, your length of the string down to 1. That means it's starting at 4 all the way to 1. Okay, backward direction. Perfect. But what is the issue here? If you think this is an array, right? Or a string, so it will start with 0, 1, 2, and 3, correct? And your loop is starting from 4. The moment your I is 4, it will see there is no 4 in this indexing. What will it give? It will give you an error. So technically, you don't have to solve this question. This is an error. Okay. So your string length, what is the length of the string? That is 4, right? So if I'm doing, it is not going to store 3 because counting will start with 4. The fact that this is an array, your this variable I is unaware of that. Okay. It's just an iterator. It is just a variable to iterate over the array or the string. But he doesn't know that I starts, the string starts from 0 and not from 1. So the moment it will try to find 4, the position 4, it does not exist. So it will give you an error. Okay. Moving to the next question. Now this is again a recursion. So if you see, it says your n is 6. Your n is 6. Now is 6 less than equal to 1? No, it is not. So is 6 mod 2 equal to 0? Yes, it is. So what will it do? It will return 6 plus. Again, you're calling that mystery function again. What is 6 minus 1? It is 5. Correct? So now you're going to pass 5. So is 5 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. So is 5 mod 2 equal to 0? No, it's not. So it's going to execute this part. So what will it do? It will do 5 times, what is n minus 2? It is 3. Right? So you're going to pass 3. Now is 3 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. Is 3 mod 2 equal to 0? No. So it's again going to do this. It will be 3 times m of, what is 3 minus 2? It is 1. Okay, now what are you going to pass? You're going to pass 1. So what is the value? It's 1. So is 1 less than equal to 1? Yes. So what are you returning? You're returning 1. So this will return 1. Okay. So when this 1 will be returned, what will be the value over here? It will be 3 times 1, that is equal to 3. Now this 3 will be returned here. So what will be the value? It will be 5 times 3, which is equal to 15. Now this 15 will be returned over here. So what will be the output? It will be 6 plus 15, that is 21. Do you have a 21? Yes, you do. All right. So the answer is in option number C. Got it? Now, again, this was also a recursion question, okay? So usually be prepared to get few recursion pseudocodes in online tests. Looking into this question, okay? So it says matrix. Now this is not written properly, so I'll just put it up properly. It's easy to understand. This is the given matrix and the sum is equal to 0, correct? Now there are two loops. One is I and other is j. Now it says I starts from 1, j also starts from 1. So that means this is 1, 2, 3. This is also 1, 2 and 3. So how are the positions? Positions are 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. Then 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 1, 3, 2 and 3, 3. These are the positions of I and j. Okay. Now it says that you are going to calculate the sum if I is equal to j or I plus j is equal to 4. Now I equal to j only when the numbers are same, only when the indexes are same, correct? So it can happen in three cases: 1, 1, 2, 2 and 3, 3. When will your I plus j be equal to 4? I'm sorry, this should be 1, 3 and not 2, 3. So it can be 1 here, it can be 1 here and it can be 1 here. So it can either be at 1, 3, 2, 2 or 3, 1, right? So these two are equal and these sum are equal to 4. Okay. So any one of the condition. So this is a different index. This is a different index, right? So you're going to consider this value. You're going to consider this value. Now you are going to consider 2 2, but if you see, then this is also 2 2, this is also 2 2, so same index, right? So you want to consider this just once. Then 3 3 and 3 1, they are two different indexes, so you're going to consider these. So total how many numbers you have 5 numbers. So you are going to add all those indexes. So you're going to add 1 1, 3 1 3, 2 2, 3 1 and 3 3. So your answer should be 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9. So if I do this, this plus this is 10, this plus this is 10. So 10 plus 10 is 20 plus 5, 25. Okay. So your answer is 25. I hope you have understood this question. It was little clumsy question, but once you get this idea, you're not going to add 2 2 twice because it's the same index. It's not a different index. Okay. So if you add 2 2 twice, it's going to give you an incorrect output. Okay. Keep that in mind. All right. Now, moving on to a cloud based questions. Okay. So, which of the following is not a cloud service model? Definitely, we have IaaS, we have PaaS, and we have SaaS, right? What we don't have is this. So, which of the following is not a cloud service model? That is a VaaS. Okay. To the next question: which cloud deployment model provides the highest level of data control and security? Now, the moment you read the names, you should be able to answer it. Why? Highest level of control and security always comes from things that are private. So, there is a private cloud in your answer. So, this is your correct answer, your output or result, whatever you want to call it. Okay. A private cloud is the cloud deployment model that will give you the highest level of data control and security. Cloud computing. What does multi-tenancy refer to? Now, multi-tenancy. This is a very common term that usually managers use and tell their team to work on. So, what does they mean that you're going to work on a multi-tenancy server? It basically means that multiple customers or multiple people are sharing the same application instance securely. Okay, they are using the same application instance, but it is secure. Multiple people are using it. Okay, so your answer is in option number B. Moving to the next one, I want you guys to take a pause and think about the answers before you actually look into the correct answer, okay? So, which of the following is an example of platform as a service or PaaS? Okay, so platform as a service is basically Microsoft Azure. This is a platform. What is this? This is an infrastructure as a service, and these two are softwares. Okay, so your answer is in option number B. Moving to the next question, what is the main purpose of using a load balancer in the cloud architecture? Now, does it matter if it's a cloud architecture or not? What does a load balancer do? The name itself suggests that it balances the load, right? Balances the traffic in the network. So, where do you have that answer? So, it's basically option number B, that is to distribute the traffic, network traffic evenly or equally or properly, to just balance it so it does not crash or does not show denial of service or something like that. Okay. Next, now this is a networking question. I want you people to actually learn about all 7 layers of the OSI model. Otherwise, it's going to get a little complicated and confusing if you are not clear in your head what are the 7 different layers and what are their actual work. Okay. So here the question is, which layer of the OSI model is responsible for reliable end to end communication? Now, who does this end to end communication? Now, simply, I would tell you a thing, that end to end communication, that means consider you are at an station X, you have to reach station Y. How do you take? You take a transport that will transfer you from one position to another. Okay, a reliable transport. So, that in the OSI layer, in the model, is done by the transport layer. The transport layer is the one that takes care, ensures that the data transfer, segmentation, or error recovery, all these are properly done by the transport layer. Okay, remember this. So, end to end communication, for a reliable communication, it's done by the transport layer. Okay, answer is then option number B. Next, which of the following IP addresses is a private IP? Now, definitely we know which one is a private one, that is 192.168.1.10, but we should know all the IP addresses that are private. What are private IP addresses, by the way? So, IP addresses are private IPs are basically IPs that are not directly accessible in the internet. Okay, so they are 10.0.0.0 all the way till 10.255.255.255. That is one range. That is a private IP address range. The other private IP address range is 172.16.0.0 all the way till 172 dot I think it's 31 dot 1 255.255. The other one is this one. This will come in this range now. It is 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. Okay. So these are few ranges. These are the three ranges that actually hold the private IPs. Okay, these are the three ranges in which your private IP can be. And if you see that your 192.168.1.10 actually lies within this range. Okay, so I hope you're clear with this question. Moving to the next one. Which device operates at data link layer? That is the layer 2 of the OSI model. Which device operates? Very simple. It's a switch. A switch operates at layer 2. Okay, it's always a switch at layer 2. Now, why and how, I for that I have to go deeper into the OSI model. So I don't want to do that. I want you people to study the OSI model properly. You know each and every layer, and that is how you will know why there's a switch in layer 2. Okay? Moving to the next one, what is the main purpose of a subnet mask? Now, subnet mask basically has two parts. Okay, one, I mean, it has IP, but IPs are of two types. One is the network IP, the other is the host IP. So basically, subnet mask helps dividing the IPs into two parts, the network IP and the host IP. So if you see anywhere network and host, then that is your answer, to divide the IP addresses into network and host portion. Okay, the answer is an option number B. Okay. Now, which protocol is used to automatically assign IP addresses to devices in a network? For that, the answer is DHCP, that is dynamic host configuration protocol. Okay, I want you guys to memorize the full form of the rest 3 as well. Okay, but for here the answer is DHCP, that is dynamic host configuration protocol, that is used to automatically assign IP addresses to the devices in a particular network. All right, moving to the next one. You have a list of employees' salary. Now, this is related to MS Office or MS Excel for that matter. So, you have a list of employees' salary in Excel. You want to find the average salary quickly. Which formula should you use? Okay. So, definitely, I just see one average formula over here, and that is your answer. Okay, count will not give you the average, it will just give you the count. Max will just give you the maximum person or the maximum row that has the maximum salary. Sum will just give you the sum, but you want the average salary, right? So for that you need to use average. So your answer is in option number B. Moving to the next one. In Excel you want to calculate the total sales only for Hyderabad. Okay, only for Hyderabad from a given data set. Which formula will you choose? Okay, definitely, it's not just sum. Why? Because there's a condition Hyderabad. So you need to use the condition Hyderabad. Now, Hyderabad is there in these 3. So we'll eliminate option A. Now, if this one is just a condition, it's just a condition. It is not returning anything. It's not returning the total, right? For that, we need total. So we'll eliminate D as well. Now, whenever we talk about total, what does that mean? Total sale definitely means sum, right? Now, understand sum is different than count. For example, suppose this is a table. Okay, there is Hyderabad, there is Bangalore, there is another Hyderabad. Okay, now the value over here is 100, 200, 400, or 4,000, whatever I wrote there. Okay, so now, what is your sum for Hyderabad? It is total sum will be 4,100. But what is the count? Your count will only be 2, right? So what is it telling us? It is telling us total sale. So that is sum, not count. So you can eliminate this. Your correct answer is in option number B. Okay. How do you read this? So this is going to be basically a column B1 to B10. This is going to be your C1 to C10. So in B1 to B10, wherever there is Hyderabad, it is going to choose them and do the sum. Got it? So if B1 to B10 is Hyderabad, then only you are going to do the sum. That is what this statement means. Okay. Moving to the next question. It says that you are preparing a PowerPoint and you want to duplicate a selected slide instantly. Okay. You're using a PowerPoint. Now you're not in Excel, you're on PowerPoint. Okay. So how do you instantly duplicate it? You can just use the shortcut called as Control D. Okay. That's your answer. Control D, you don't have to do Control C, Control V. Just Control D and it will duplicate that slide instantly. Okay. Next question. So you want to count the number of blank cell in range, right? Which is the correct. Now, blank cell. Now, count A is incorrect. Okay. And this is also incorrect. It's not counting. It's just an if condition. So this count will count the number of non-empty cell. But whenever you use the term blank, it is going to count the empty ones. Okay. So your correct answer is in option number C. Okay, moving to the next one. Which of the following is an example of phishing? Now, we often have you heard this term in different advertisement, in different text or emails or in books that whenever there is a fake thing, there's a chance that it is a scam because RBI says that, oh, I don't send such OTPs and all those things through phone numbers or through emails. RBI will never reach out to you personally, okay? Unless and until it's very important and they will send you a physical mail or a physical letter. Okay. So what is phishing? Phishing is basically sending fake emails to steal login information. Okay. So this is the correct answer. It's not encrypted. It is not firewall or backing up files regularly, but it is fake emails. All right. Next. Now, Which of the following provides the most secure authentication? We are all very aware, and it's a very famous term called as the 2FA or two factor authentication method, and that is your answer. Okay, so this is the one that provides the most secure authentication. All right, moving to the next one. You receive a pop up saying your computer is infected. Click here to fix. What kind of cyber threat is this? So this is a scareware. Why is this called a scareware? Because the moment you read it, you will be scared that, oh my god, my system is infected with virus. I need to fix it. What will you do? You will immediately click on that link, right? So these are kind of scarewares, like where you scare the user and you force them to click on that link. So this kind of cyber threat is called as a scareware. Next, which of these best describes encryption? What is encryption basically? Encryption is nothing but converting or just putting a readable thing into an unreadable format. So the other person cannot use it unless and until he or she knows your code word. Okay, it's like I am telling my friend a code word and we mean something else by that. Okay, and only she or me, we both can only decode it and no one else. So that's encryption. So it's like converting data into unreadable form or format to prevent unauthorized access. So your answer is in option number C. Okay. Moving to the last question, I would say for MCQs, that is a hacker floods a server with millions of requests causing it to crash. What kind of attack is this? Now, this is called as the denial of service. So, if an hacker keeps sending a lot of requests, so what will happen? It will create a lot of traffic in that server, right? And the server will get busy and it won't be available for normal or usual people like you and me to use it. Why? Because it has so many requests from that hacker that now the server is busy. So what is it going to throw? It will throw an denial of access. So this is an attack called the DOS attack. Pretty common. Yeah, you won't hear it a lot because it has become so common that people don't make a headlines or breaking news out of it. But this is a pretty straightforward attack that usually hackers try to do. All right. So with this, we do come to the end of MCQs. Now we'll be going to the other thing that is the uh, the coding part. Okay, so we will skip to the coding part now. First question, you can see here it says that you are given a program to count the magical numbers from 1 to n. What is a magical number? Now, magical number is anything that is defined by these three rules. Okay, so first is whatever number is given, you have to convert that in its binary representation. Okay, now binary has two things, zeros and ones. Okay, so now for every zero, you have to replace it with one, and every one, you have to replace it with two. So your zeros become one, ones becomes two. Okay, now calculate the sum of all digit in the modified string. If the resultant is odd, then consider it a magical string. Okay, so how do we actually solve this? Now we are given this input, okay, that is 4. What is the binary of 4? It is 100, right? 100. Now your ones will become 2 and zeros will become 1. Correct? Now you have to do this sum. So 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Now is this an even or odd? This is even, sorry. So this is not a magical number. Okay? Now, why is this output given as uh, 1? Okay? So it basically says that after replacing it, if the resultant is odd, then consider it is a magical string. Now, is the resultant odd? No, it is not, right? It is not odd. So that is why it is. We'll get to the output why it is 1. Now, let's look into another one. So, suppose 1. So, what is 1 basically? 1 binary is 1 only. So, nothing will happen. This will basically become 2. So, this is also not, uh, what will I tell? This is also not odd. This is also even, right? Now, what is 2? So, 2 is 10. So, this will become 2 plus 1, that is 3. Now, this is odd. Okay. Now, what is 3? 3 is 1, 1. So that will become 2 plus 2, that is equal to 4. Now this is also not odd, this is even, correct? And 4 we already have figured out even. Now how did we arrive at this value 1? So it says that find out all the magic number in the range of 1 to n. So if your n is 4, how many magic number do you have in the range of 1, 2, 3, and 4? 1 to n, right? How many magic number? Just one, that is number 2. This is the only one that is odd, correct? So that is why your output is 1. Okay, now we have to code this. How do we code this? So we'll go to our editor. I'm going to use Colab. You can use anything that you prefer to use. Okay, so we'll start with the first thing. So say n is equal to, we'll take an input, just take input. Or just for your ease of understanding, I'll say enter n. Okay, do not write enter n in your exam. It's a humble request because that might throw an error. Okay, I don't know why, but looks like the size is small, so I'm going to reset the size. Perfect. Okay, now for sum, actually we'll take for num in. So what will be your range? You are including the n, right? You're not excluding it. So you have to do 1 to n plus 1. Okay, you have to do that. Now, whenever you're doing this, first step is to convert it into binary. So you will do, say, b. So we'll take binary or bin of num. And what are we going to do is we are going to just consider it from this, like this. Okay. Now, why did I do this? Because if I don't do this, the output will something be like 0 OB, okay, or it will probably be something with b. So we don't want those first two characters, we just want the binary part. So we are just going to mention the position that from 2 till the end, that is what we want our b to store. Okay, we don't want the 0b or ob thing in the start. If you are not clear with this step, we already have a video on this for the Python data structure course. I would definitely insist on checking that out. Okay, now this we have converted into binary. What are you going to do is the replacements now. So say we'll take replaced, and that's an empty string. We'll say for every character in b, what are you going to check? That if your ch or your character is equal to 0, okay, then your replaced is nothing but 1. Okay, the character at 1. Else, what will be your replaced? If it's not 0, it's definitely 1 because it is binary. So that is equal to 2. Okay, you're going to do this. Now, what will be your final step? Now, once you're done with this, your final step is to do the sum of the digit, right? So, sum of the digit is basically say total is equal to sum, and say we'll take an integer x. So, for x in your where in your replaced, okay, that is where you're calculating your sum, right? Now, once this is done, if your total, you need to check only the odd ones are going to get added as your magical numbers. So, if your mod of 2 is equal to, for odd, what do you need? You need 1 and not 0. If it is 1, then your count will increment by 1. Okay. So finally, what will you do? You will just come out of this and you're just going to print count. Okay. That's it. So let's, first I need to connect my this. So, and we will run this. Okay. So let's enter the example that we checked. That was 4. Okay, so it's returning 1, which is correct. So now just imagine if I have an extra thing that is, say my n is 5. Okay, so my n is 5. That means my range is 1 to 5. We already have 1 to 4. So let's calculate for 5. So 5 is this. So it should be 2 plus 1 plus 2. So that is equal to 5. This is again odd, right? So how many odd do we have, or magical number do we have? We have 1 at 2, 1 at 5. So if we go here and rerun this and enter 5, it should return 2. So yes, it's returning 2. Okay, so you got it. So if we check for the Java thing, so you see it's the same function. So you're going to take a scanner class. So in the scanner class, you're taking n as an input. Okay, so you're going to, first step is to convert it to the binary. The next step is to create a replaced value. So for every character in that binary, you're checking if it is a 0, then make it 1. Else, you don't have to actually write this condition because binary has two things, 0 and 1. So you're just doing it with a 2. Okay, now for all the sum that you need to do, what are you doing basically is that your replaced string is going to look like this. Okay, and you're going to just check that if it is odd or not. If it is, then increment your count. And finally, you are just returning your count. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run this. So if we run this and say we are entering our 4, so your output is 1. And if you run this again, say we enter 5, it should be 2. Okay. So I hope you're clear with this question. So moving on to the next question. So that is a pretty simple question. Okay. It says that you are basically given an integer n. You have to find the sum of all prime numbers in that range or till n. Okay. So suppose the example says 10. So what are the numbers? Let's write down first all the numbers. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So what are the prime numbers? These are your prime numbers. Okay. So what will you have? You'll have 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. Okay. So this plus this is 10 plus this is 15 plus this is 17. So you have 17 as your output. Okay. So what are you going to do is three steps. First, you're going to see the range. Okay. First, you're going to check for the range, and in the range, you're going to check for the prime numbers. Okay. Once you're done with the prime numbers, what are you going to do is basically calculate the sum. Okay. So how do we write this code? So first we'll take an input. Okay, say n is equal to int, and we'll just leave it as input like this. If you want, like just for trying it, you can write that enter n thing. Otherwise, you can skip it. Okay. I'm going to create a helper function, say is prime. So now this will be the one that's going to check whether it is prime or not. So what are we going to pass is num. I'm going to check if num is less than 2. Then it is not a prime number. Simply return false. Okay. Now, what should be the other condition? It should be that for I in your range, what will be your range for prime number? It must start with 2. 2 all the way till, I'm going to just take a random thing. So say num to the power of, say 0.5, okay, plus 1. Now, if this is the this is the prime thing, why did I do this? This is basically the square root values, okay? So what are you going to do basically? You will check if your num. Now, what is the definition of prime number? The number should be divisible by itself and 1, right? If it is 0, then you're going to return false. Okay? Otherwise, what are you going to return? You will come out of the loop and just return true. Okay? Now, next. So you once this part is done, you have to keep a track of something called as total, right? So you need to know what your total is because you're calculating the sum. Now you're going to run this loop n in the range. What will be your range? It will be definitely 1. It says from 1 to n, right? So n means n is included, so you have to keep 1 extra, so n plus 1. So if you're going to call the is prime helper function that you just wrote, you pass your n, and what are you going to do? Just if that is total, if that's returning true, just increment total with n. That's it. Okay. And finally, you're just going to come out of all of this and you're going to print your, oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to print your total. Okay. So we'll pause this, we'll run this again. So say we are entering 5 and we hit enter. Is this inside the loop? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we have to technically come out of all of that. So did I? No, I am inside the thing, so that is why there is a mistake. So we'll, oops. I'll do correct the indentation and now let's run this. So that is 10, which is correct. Okay, so why is that correct? What are the prime numbers from 1 to 5? It is 2, 3, and 5. So 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, so if we run this again for the number that was already given to us, that is 10, so it should return. Oh, it returned extra, I guess. Something's not right over here. Oh, okay, I see the mistake. It should be I. So let's do a 10 again. Okay, so there was an indentation issue and I fixed it. So now if I run this, so you will see it should work. So that is 17 and I'm going to run it once again for 5 just in case. That is 10. That's correct. Okay. So we are going to see the same code in Java. So now in Java as well, you're going to just write an helper function is prime and you're going to run this. Now here the class name is main because I'm using an online editor. If you're using your own IDE, Make sure to use whatever class name you want to. There is no hard rule for this. Okay. Now, once that is done, you're going to run your main function, and within that, you're using the scanner class to take the input and just check if the number is prime or not, and you're returning the value. So, suppose I want to run for the same, say 10, that's going to return me 17. And if I again run this for 5, so that's going to return me 10, which is correct. All right. So we'll move on to the next question. Now, the next question is that you are given a decimal number n, and your task is to convert the binary digit and return the sum of it. So, how do we actually get by this, and how is the output? So, what is the binary of 10? 10 is 1010, correct? So, it is basically telling you to do a sum of all of this. So, how will you do the sum of all of this? So that means it is telling you of this binary, you have to do 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0. What is the output? It is 2, right? So your output is 2. So this is a pretty straightforward and simple code. So we are going to see that how we are going to do it. So we'll take again an n as an input. So say int input. Okay. If you want, you can just write enter n just to make sure you are doing it right. So we'll name this a binary string. And we are again going to use bin to convert it to binary. And what are we going to convert? We're going to convert n, but we don't need the first two characters, so we're going to do this. Okay, now you're basically going to do a sum. So let's say digit sum, and that is equal to sum of what? So it will be int, let's say we'll take d. So now d is what? Is d in your whatever is in your binary string. Okay, and finally what are you going to do? You're going to simply print your digit sum. Okay, it is that easy and straightforward. So suppose I entered 10, it's going to return me 2. Okay, now if I entered 3, so what is the binary of 3? It is 1 1. Okay, so 1 plus 1 should return me 2. Okay, so you can try out for any number. Similarly, we'll go to our Java and we'll see how we can code this. So it's basically the same main function. You're taking your input, you're converting it to the binary, your sum is 0. Now for every ch in this converted string that you have, you are basically doing a sum depending on whether it is a 0 or a 1. Okay, and so if you run this and oh, okay, so if I enter say 10, it should return me 2. If I rerun this again, same for 3, it is 1 1, right? So it should return 2, so it will return 2. All right, so I hope you have understood this. Now this was one part of your coding assessment. The other one is definitely your SQL query. Okay, so now this is called as the subject matter experts. Now what is a subject matter expert basically? So, subject matter expert is nothing but it's trying to tell you that you have to identify this query, and you have to write a very small query depending on whatever is asked in the question. Okay, so it is called as the subject matter expert. Okay, subject matter expert in, oops, I'm sorry. So it is called as the subject matter expert, and it says that you are given you are tasked with identifying the SMEs at Accenture based on their work experience in specific domains. An employee qualifies as an SME or subject matter expert if they meet either of the following criteria. That is, they have 8 or more years of experience, 8 or more years of work experience in a domain, or they have 12 years of work experience across two domains. Okay, so these are the two conditions, either or, they are or conditions. Okay, so you have to write a query to return the employees with employee IDs of all SMEs and Accenture. So this is the table that will be given to you. This will be the table that will be given to you. Okay, now for the sample input, they have a small table that is given here. This is just for your explanation part, and that has nothing to do with your query. Okay, understand that for your query, all you need is this table, this one. Okay, now it says that there's an employee 101, 102, 102, 103, so like that. And 101 has 9 years of experience, 102 occurs twice, and it has two different domains, and it has experience in 6 and 7 years respectively. So it says in total they should have 12 years of work experience in two different domains. Okay, so 102 does have 12 years of work experience in two different domains. Okay, so 104 has three different domains, but it's not optimal. So what is the output? It's 101 and 102. Okay, but This is just for your explanation thing. Okay, you don't have to do anything over here. You just need this table. Okay, so what will be your query? Your query will be something like this, that you have to return the employee ID. Okay, that is what it says. Return the employee IDs of all SMEs. Okay, so you're returning the employee ID from which table? Only this table, because this table is given. This is an example table. Okay, so you have nothing to do with this. So this is the table. So from this employee expertise table, what are you grouping it by? You are grouping it by the employee ID. Why employee ID? Because you are using the employee ID as it is unique to look through the domains where it has different multiple domain. Okay, so wherever your employee ID is, you're going to group it. And what are you going to check? You're going to check the sum of the years of experience should be one. Sorry, your 8, that is one value, and your domain should be 1, and your sum of experience should be 12, and your count of your domain should be 2. If it is 8, then domain should be 1. If it is 2, then your domain should be 2. Sorry, if it is 12, your domain should be 2, and it is going to use an OR operation. Either of the one is true, then you can return that employee ID. Okay, so this is going to be a query. Now, this is one kind of question. So, for SQL question that you can have in this coding assessment, there can be multiple tables, okay, which we'll practice later. If we get a chance, we'll have more videos on complex tables where you definitely have. So, if you want more complex tables to understand how you can write better queries, do let us know in the comment section. All right. Now, I hope you're clear with this. This is exactly how you will be given a question. You'll be given a scenario for SQL, and you have to execute a query. Okay, everything will be built for you. These table, you don't have to create these tables unless asked in the question. You all you have to do is to write this kind of query. Okay, now moving to the most important and exciting part of the test, that is basically your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all of that. Okay, this simple thing which says that you are developing a recipe ingredient scaler that allows user to easily scale the recipe ingredients up or down. The project structure is in place. Okay, so that means they would have given you. What does this mean that your project structure is in place? That means your project structure is already given to you. You need to just make few modification. Okay, but it says but you need to complete three simple one liner task. Okay, three simple tasks. You are not changing the project structure at all. Okay, so what are the three different tasks that you are doing? One is to add the ID, that is ingredient list, to the unordered list with class ingredient list. Okay. Set font family of the ingredient list to monospace. Now calculate the scaled quantity by multiplying the original quantity with the multiplier. So these are the three objectives. For this, I have a separate code that I have written, but it won't be easy for me to show it in this video. So I'm just going to show you the application that I have designed. And it's a straightforward application where I've used simple HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's it. Okay, nothing more. They don't want a fancy website or a web page from you. They just want you to use the same code and restructure these objectives. Okay, just put these objective in place. So we'll go to the ingredient scaler. So by default, you will see this. Okay, by default, the multiplier is 1. Okay, if you have 1, so it is 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, and 0.5 cup butter. It is already there. Now if I change this value to 2, then it should become all multiplied by this default value. That means 4 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, and 1 cup of butter. Okay, so if I click on scale ingredient, you see all of them changed. Okay, so this is exactly what you need to do. Now I have a detailed video ready for this where I have explained all of this in the app itself. So over there, I have shown the code and how we have designed it. So they don't want you to do major changes. They just want to make sure that your value over here changes correctly with the multipliers that has been by default provided by them, by the code, okay, which is already in place. Okay, and all you needed to do is to change them all to monospace. That was a CSS thing. And the first criteria that they have given is basically add the ID ingredient list to the unordered list with class ingredient. So that was an HTML thing that you had to do it. Okay, this is the ingredient list. This was unordered, but now you have ordered it. Okay, why do I say it ordered? Because if you see, the numbers are decreasing. The higher one is on the top. How do I know that? If I put this back to 1, so 2, then 1, then 0.5. This is how it has been ordered. Okay, initially probably it was unordered. Okay, So this is one question from HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The other question, that was a direct question or a previous question, that you are tasked with creating a simple web application that implements a shopping cart. The application should allow user to add items displayed on the screen to shopping cart table. Based on the number of items, add to cart button is clicked, the quantity of the items should get updated in the shopping cart table. The application should be styled with basic CSS to ensure a clean and modern appearance. Okay. So these are few conditions that create an add to cart button for every item in the items table under the action column. The button should have unique ID like add to cart chips, add to cart soda, add to cart cookies for items chips, soda, and cookies respectively. Give both the tables a border of this color. They have already given you the CSS filtering. Complete the JavaScript code to update the quantity of each item selected to be added to the shopping cart. So if we look into the shopping cart thing that I have, so you already have the items, you have the action column, you have add to cart for chips, you have add to cart for soda, you have add to cart for cookies. Your shopping cart is currently empty. So if I click on add to cart for chips, it should show one quantity. If I do it again, it should increase by 2. Again, it should increase by 3. Now if I'm adding soda, it should increase soda by 1. Again, soda by 2. If I want one cookie, I'm going to add one cookie. If I want two, I can add 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Okay. So this is the display that I have done. Again, I have shown how to write this code, the entire code structure in the application video that we have in the app. So yeah, it's not possible to explain it right now over here, the entire thing, but you can definitely use simple HTML, CSS. They don't want complex ones from you. You can use simple HTML, CSS and get this done. Okay, it's not going to be a difficult one, pretty easy. All right, I hope that you have understood this question and you found this helpful. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep learning and thank you.